In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I come before you as a student and a follower of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, under the direct guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet all of you watching with the greeting words of peace. We say it in our Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. For those of you who are watching, I just want to thank you for joining me, and I just wanted to bring to you something that I've been needing to study more, and something that I have been needing to develop within myself. So I thought that I would go into our study guides that is a gift to us, a wealth of knowledge from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. There's a series of study guides full of wisdom, full of knowledge, full of teaching. And these study guides each session of the study guide is designed on the guidance of Allah to produce self-examination, self-analysis, self-correction, and to quicken in each of us the self-accusing spirit. For it is only when we are awakened morally that we have to face the self-accusing spirit, which leads to our resurrection. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gifted us with the study guides for self-improvement, which is the basis for community development. So I wanted to go into one of the parts of the study guides, which is called the Will of God. And what I was talking about earlier, what I needed to work on, what I've been needing to build within myself is my will. I believe that if there's anything that you want in this life, anything at all, that in order to achieve it, you have to have strong will. In the Will of God, Part 1, which is a part of the study guides, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, "The will of God is the power behind the universe, its creation, its maintenance, and its sustenance." He says the Holy Quran constantly reminds us that Allah's command is just be, and it is. But this is not some spooky term such as abracadabra or open sesame. When Allah God says be, He summons the power of His own being, His creative mind and will, to bring about that which He wills. When Allah says be, this is an expression of His will. But it is more than just an expression of His will. For when He says be, He arranges forces, resources, angels, people, all according to a plan to bring about the fruition of His will. Think about that, brothers and sisters. I had to think about that too. Allah, God, who has created everything in this universe, shares His power with you and me. We today have this ability to will. We can will whatever we want into existence. We have the ability as well to organize and to bring something into fruition. We too can say, be, go to work, and it is. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the brain of man is infinite. I'm going to say that again. The brain of man is infinite. Whatever you can think about, dream of, envision, imagine, you have the power within you, a gift that Allah put inside of you to create whatever it is that you will. The will is the real power of man from Allah. However, the will must be supported by faith and knowledge. There is no action that is not preceded by a conscious thought, planning, and then carrying out of that plan into action. Will is the power of control that the mind has over its own actions. So you can have will, but will won't be very powerful without having faith. You can have will, but will won't be very powerful without having knowledge. Because will without faith and will without knowledge is power without direction. Faith is the confidence or trust in a person or a thing. Faith is having confidence in your own ability or in someone else's ability. Faith is having confidence or trust in Allah. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. So the minister goes on to say, regardless of what you know, you must have a greater faith than your knowledge. He says we must be faithful men and women, but we must also be possessors of knowledge. We need both faith and knowledge to support the power of our being, which is our will. I'm going to say that again. The power of our being is our will. The will is also protected and sustained not only by faith, but also by our attitude, which demonstrates our degree of faith. We cannot have a powerful will and a weak attitude. We cannot have a powerful will and weak faith. Change your attitude and you might redirect your will. Attitude is the manner, disposition, or feeling. Position, which we regard a thing. It is a tendency of orientation, especially of the mind. Think of these words. It is a tendency or orientation of the mind. In fact, attitude can give you or damage your ability to perceive reality. Mood can color our perception. He says, beloved, we must be careful of our attitude. Will is power, but it must be guided. Guided by what? The power of will must be guided by knowledge. But there is an emotional force that gives direction to will. And the emotional force, which is the creative force upon which the entire universe is constructed, is love. And it is out of this awesome power of love that will springs up. It springs up out of this emotion, and it is directed and guided by that emotion. The number one thing that affects our will to create and to plan and to bring into existence that which we desire, the number one thing is fear. I know we've all experienced fear sometime in our life, but that's the number one thing that affects your will to create, to bring things into existence. The second thing that adversely affects the will is vanity. Vanity is excessive pride in one's appearance, one's qualities, one's abilities, and or one's achievements. It is conceit. Vanity can lead to arrogance. And of course, anything that is done in arrogance and conceit lacks real value. The third thing that affects the will is pride. It distorts the will. Pride is a high and inordinate opinion of one's own dignity, importance, merit, or superiority. Pride makes you think of yourself as the power and not Allah, God, as the power. Envy. Envy is a feeling of discontent, usually ill will at seeing someone else's superiority, advantages, or success. It is you being angry with someone whom you feel has an advantage or success that you believe you should have. Lust is a voracious appetite, a sexual appetite that is inordinate. It is out of the divine law. It is out of the way of the order of Allah. It is something that we feel we have to do. It is a compulsion. And we allow that drive, that sexual drive, that lust, to actually corrupt our will and direct our will towards ends that are not productive of good. So the next thing that affects the will is anger. Anger. Those of us who are angered much, anger can redirect the will. Anger directs the power of our being toward the object of our anger. And oftentimes in our anger, we can do very destructive things to self and others. Anger is something that must be controlled. And the last thing, one of the last things that adversely affects our will is greed. Being greedy. Greed is the accepted, inordinate desire for wealth, power, food, or drink. Allah wants us to be satisfied. But when we are overcome by greed, this lust for wealth or power or food or drink, it manifests itself in our consumption. It leads to obesity, where one destroys one's health because of one's greed, or destroys one's health because of our uncontrolled urges. So what prompted me to talk about will today for me is, I'm going to say greed. And the reason why I say that is because I've been meaning to do a 7-day cleanse, a 7-day fast for the past couple months. And I always get to like day 3. I'll get to day 3 and I'll get to day 4 and then I'll break it. And so I needed some strength because I'm currently into day number 5. And earlier today, it was difficult and I was having those thoughts come up. You know, every time you say you're going to do something, there's always these thoughts that come up in your mind, thoughts of opposition. You know, like, maybe I should just eat an apple, you know, or maybe I should just start next week. And, you know, and I was like, no. And so I'm like, you have to have the will to do it, you know, and that's with anything in life. If you want your own business, if you want to lose weight, the things that I just read, the fear and the vanity and the envy and jealousy and the lust and the greed, and we must control those. We have to control ourselves. And so I'm talking to myself, and so I'm strong and I'm on it. And every time I think about, you know, if I think about food or something, I'm just like, stay focused, you know. I have the will to do this. I've done it before, but I just haven't done it in a while. But I'm like, you can do this, you could do this, just stay focused. Your will is strong. And we can do anything we want. You know, like the messenger said, the brain and the mind of man is infinite. I hope that this video helps somebody out there. And, you know, I want to ask you, what do you want to do? What is it that you want to say be? And create that, bring that into existence. So whatever it is that you want to do, I just want to, you know, take it off the back burner and, you know, dust it off and put it in the forefront of your plans, because you can achieve whatever you put your mind to. So if you have a strong will backed by faith and knowledge. All right, so I'm going to let you go with that until the next video. Assalamu alaikum.